Also, this is getting a lot of attention here at home today, catching a lot of fire on social media, and it involves former member of Congress, Democrat Congresswoman Katie Porter, who by some polling is a front runner, but it's very spread out, I got to say. You can see where the numbers are, and that 38% say they're undecided in the governor's race, which is next November, a year from November, to replace Gavin Newsom, who is term limited. Porter apparently didn't like some of the questions that she was asked by a CBS reporter that had to do with whether or not she would court voters who were supportive of President Trump. Watch this.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, ma'am?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
She went on to say that she has represented purple areas in the past and that she can win Republican votes. But watch what happens when the reporter followed up on the question. Watch.
You just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't think
I feel like this is unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
I mean, I'm just going to call it. I'm done. We reached out to Porter's campaign. We're waiting to hear back. Let's bring in Karl Rove, former Deputy Chief of Staff to President George W. Bush and Fox News contributor, of course, and Jessica Tarlov, co-host of The Five. Okay, guys, Karl, let me start with you. What's the impact of this? What do you think?
Well, we now know that she is what she is, which is a brittle, not very nice person. We knew that if you watched her apparently in the Congress. But why she did this is beyond me. What a simple softball. Of course, I want the vote of every Californian who cares about the things I care about, namely blah, 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 blah. Lay out your plan. And instead, it was like, you know, you, the reporter, are an idiot, and those 40%, I don't need them. And let me do it in a way that is completely off-putting.
So true. And that obviously was jumped on by her opponents. Here's a post by Javier Becerra. He says, I'm not interested in excluding any vote. Every Californian deserves affordable health care, safe streets, and a roof over their head and a living wage. Jessica, what's the impact of this on this election, which is quite a ways away, but you got a lot of people involved, and she may have hurt herself with this.
Oh, she definitely hurt herself. I saw that the betting markets, which had her as the front runner, went down by 50%. The odds of this happening, and I think the person who's most paying attention to this is Alex Padilla, who is thinking about getting into that race. You know, it would be a short stint in Washington, but he would get to go home and, you know, manage the fourth biggest economy in the world. And I think he's saying, like, oh, well, you know, Katie's misfortune may be my good fortune. I think that we can also put to rest the idea that those rumors about her being a very bad boss were unfounded and a product of sexism.
There were stories that she fired someone, and, you know, this was the story. I don't know if it's true, but for getting COVID, essentially, or for giving her COVID. And then there's the mashed potatoes incident. Her husband, during a messy divorce, said that she dumped steaming hot mashed potatoes on his head, which is getting a little bit easier to picture, Karl.
Absolutely. And look, she had an advantage when she ran for the Senate last time around, in that she came from Orange County and had been a member of Congress and raised, like, I think it was $31 million against Adam Schiff, who got 35. And he won 30-some-odd% of the vote in the first round. The first round of voting will be next March. They have sort of a jungle primary where everybody, Republican and Democrat, run in one primary, and the two top vote getters go into the general election. She came in third behind Steve Garvey, the Republican, who was like 30%. Schiff was 31%. She was at 15%, and she was there because she had a bunch of money. Now, I don't think, particularly after this, that it's going to be as easy for her to raise the money to be competitive. And it's certainly, this is going to, people are going to look at this, and the image of her as a nasty, mean person are going to linger.
Here's one more to put out there for people to think what they will. This is her talking about her daughter responding to the election of President Trump. Watch this.
On election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is.
So that one, maybe not the example I necessarily would have given, but I think actually if she had in this interview that just took place yesterday, talked about the issues and said, you know, I think it's really important to make sure that we protect the reproductive rights of everyone in California. And we've seen the impact of the Dobbs decision and these poor women in Louisiana and Texas who don't have the same rights as we. There is a way to have that discussion that doesn't involve saying, like, take my mic off. I'm horrified by the fact that a reporter would A, ask me all the same questions that they asked everyone else vying for this job, and B, it kind of sends this message of, I don't like the free press. Like, you agreed to an interview, and we complain about this about Trump all the time. Like, sit for the questions.
Well, he sits for the questions.
No, but like,
yeah,
how he answers them.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much. We'll see where this whole thing goes for Katie Porter. We got a while to watch this. If Carl gives it a down arrow.
If he had a whiteboard, it would have an arrow.
It would have a down arrow. Yeah. Not a good day for her. We'll see where it goes. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.